And finally tonight, we hear from a child psychiatrist who found herself turned into a mural in central Cardiff after her groundbreaking work to roll out video consultations in the NHS. Before the COVID outbreak, Professor Alka Ahuja had set up the CUTCH project for young people to be able to have online consultations, a model which is now being used right across Wales. Here's a story.
As I walked down the street, oh my God, I couldn't stop crying. I never imagined something of that size. Bombay is a bit like London. You've got all these flashy billboards and posters. And it's, all the Bollywood stars and the industrialists and all those people, on these big screens. So I used to always tell my parents, who are these people, And they are famous people. And for years when I was a child, if anybody asked me what you want to be, I used to say famous because I wanted my picture on a big screen. And seeing this, oh God, it just made me think, oh my God, I must have done something to get there. So it was very emotional. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, personally and professionally. Again, all of us have faced the challenges of COVID. So it was long hours. The first few months seemed to be a blur now. We were working sometimes 12, 14 hours a day. I've always been a clinical academic, so I do my clinical work, which has been working with young people with autism, ADHD, and other neurodevelopmental conditions. Technology was something that they use in their day-to-day life, and they use to communicate with families and friends. And they themselves suggested, if we can talk to our families and friends via technology, why can't we talk to our doctor or nurse? We were fortunate to get funded, and we rolled out the program offering video appointments to young people who were presenting with self-harm and severe eating disorders. And the more we did of it, we realized that this was something that was very well received. I was just finishing clinic and I had a phone call saying, there was somebody who wanted to speak to me from Welsh Government. I took the call, and obviously we had heard about early cases of COVID in the country, and we had our first case in Wales as well. And they wanted to roll out video appointments across Wales. The fear was with the pandemic, we needed to continue delivering healthcare in a safe and timely manner. If we could do it remotely based on the experience we had from CUTCH and the lessons we had learned, it would have to be done nationally across all the services. Honestly speaking, it was very frightening because I still remember holding the phone thinking, gosh, this was just a small project in our service. And, we were just learning as we were going along. And now to do it nationally across Wales, across all the GPs, hospitals, how was it going to be possible? There was no plan B. If we had to do it without the pandemic being in the equation, it would have taken us years to happen. Within weeks, we went live in 90% of the practices. And Easter weekend last year, the minister then announced rolling it out to secondary care. So this was all the hospital appointments. And that again, we just took it in our stride because everybody knew what they were doing, and it was a well-oiled machine. We used to have every morning scrums, and we were sort of constantly bouncing ideas. We were rolling out in very unusual circumstances, and we wanted to make sure that we learn as we go along. And what we used was a quality improvement approach. So you take baby steps and you evaluate constantly. So you listen to what clinicians say, what patients say, what's working well, what's not working well, and you improvise as you go along. Early on when, the pandemic, when we had some of our first few calls between the patients on intensive care with their families. And for some of them, it was saying their final goodbyes. And I wish we had done more in terms of virtual visiting then, because, we probably should have focused more. And I know there were other pressures and there were other priorities, but I'm just hoping we can make that happen and make it future-proof, because there'll always be families who cannot always travel and come and see their loved ones in hospital. I look back and the amount we've achieved in the last year and the difference it's made to people's life. And I think that's the most important thing, to enable having access to health when it was needed so desperately during a pandemic, I think has been wonderful.